Number 3. So first of all, check for GCF, right? That's always the first step. And remember, you can get out your notes and use the steps that I provided in the last one. I don't have them on each slide here, but hopefully you have them in your notes and you can use them. But yeah, checking for the GCF is always the first step in any kind of polynomial factoring, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but when it does, it makes life a lot easier and more manageable. All right, so here we have a 12, 12, 45. So a couple hints, or just kind of reminders. What I would do is just break down one of the numbers, and I usually start with the smallest one. And so I just see this what goes into 12, right? And so I would check, okay, well, 12 is 3 times 4, and then 4 is 2 times 2. So of those prime numbers, the 2's, so I'm not worried about the 4, just the 2's and the 3. Which of those go into these other numbers, right? Well, 2 doesn't go into 45 because 2's are, 45 is odd and 2's only go into even numbers, so the 2's don't work. But 3 does go into 45, right? And of course it goes into 12, as we just see here. So 3 is going to be our greatest common factor. So we're going to put a 3 on the outside, and then we're going to, and I forgot to check, let me check for variables. This has an A, this has an A, but this doesn't have an A. So there's no variables that they have in common. So just the 3. So now we're going to divide each of these terms by the GCF, right? By 3. Okay. And so what we end up getting, 12 divided by 3 is 4, tag on the A squared. 12 divided by 3 is 4 again, tag on the A. And 45 divided by 3 is 15. So negative 15 comes down. Okay. So now we see, okay, well, we factor out a GCF, but it's still a complex quadratic, right? I still have a number bigger than 1 there in front of the leading or as the leading coefficient. And so what I need to do is multiply A times C. So that's what we're going to do. 4 times 15 equals 60. All right. And now we're looking for numbers that we can multiply to get 60 that we can subtract this time to get to 4. Okay. All right. And so what are numbers we can multiply to get 60 that we can subtract to get 4? Well, let's start with, and by the way, remember, you don't necessarily have to show all this work. So if you think of those numbers off the top of your head, that's great, right? And in fact, I encourage that. The more efficient you can be with these, the better. So, but if you don't know, we can start out with 4 and 15, those numbers that we use to get 60, and that kind of gets us started in the middle, right? We could start with 1 and 62, but 1 and 60 as well, I should say. But this kind of gets you a little head start, so you don't have to go through all of them. So if I want to subtract to get 4, I want to get these numbers closer together, right? Because 15 minus 4 is 11, so I want to get them closer. And so I want to get a bigger number here. So I check, does 5 go in? 60 divided by 5 is 12. 12 minus 5 is closer, right? It's 7, but we want to keep going because we need to get to 4. So I check, does 6 go in? 60 divided by 6 is 10. So ding, 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 we have our winner, right? And so we're going to start out with our GCF here. We open up 2 sets of parentheses. We put a variable here, and then we put the 6 and the 10 in there, okay? And now we can get our signs. So remember, this is the sign of the bigger number, okay? So that means we're going to have a positive in front of the 10. And then this tells us our signs need to be different, right? So if our signs need to be different, that means the other number is going to be not positive, right? It's going to be negative. Okay, and then we take our value here for A, and we put that underneath. And then we reduce. So 10 over 4 reduces to 5 over 2. 6 over 4 reduces to 3 over 2. We bring those reduced denominators to the front. And we get 3, the GCF still, times the quantity of 2A minus 3, times the quantity of 2A plus 5. There we go. All right, so that's our answer. Remember, if you do want to check your work, you can always FOIL. What I'd do is recommend foiling this first, and then when you get your answer, distribute the 3, and then see if you come back to what you started with. Okay.